boys. Here we go. Come on.
All right, boys, let's have some fun.
Hello, welcome to the Galbraith Report. We're back after a week. Sorry we didn't get back to you in the last week. Life has just got in the way, hasn't it? I'm Craig Anderson, along with Jade Galbraith. We're going to look back at the NHL over the last week. And, well, round 2 is over and things are getting excited. Jade, my friend, how are you?
Good, buddy. I had a May long weekend this weekend, so I went and saw my mom, which was nice. She says to say hello.
Hi, Michelle.
And thank you for the birthday remarks. So again, she was always a favorite. She liked you a lot. So again, she says hello and hope everything's well.
Oh, as well as it can be. But anyway, yeah, what a week we've had in the NHL. Round 2 has come to a close, and what an exciting way to end it. First game we'll start with is the Game 7, Montreal Canadiens against Buffalo Sabres. We'll go through each one as we go. Canadiens are through. 4 wins to 2 over the Sabres. I had a feeling it was going to be the end of the road for the Sabres.
Nope.
Just kept pulling it out. Is that week 4-3?
Yeah, 4-3.
It's my bad notes. But yeah, 4-3, you're right. And the Sabres kept pulling it out. I wondered if the experience was maybe going to escape them because, as has been well documented, they haven't been at this stage for such a long time. They got that fantastic win in Game 6 on Saturday, 8-3. The Canadiens doing it on Monday, overtime. Alex Newhook, a great way to do it. The Canadiens are going all out.
Yeah. So anyway, the game I was at the cabin or whatever when Montreal got hammered by Buffalo 8-3. But again, you got to understand that the game was kind of out of hand, and the last 2 or 3 goals really, you could tell Montreal was done and refocused. It was trying to get out of the game and get focused on Game 7. So Buffalo really, again, like they were so weird. I'd always watch and I'd be like, well, Buffalo's playing great, Montreal's not too good, and then Montreal pushed back and scored. So the Montreal Canadiens, no offense to the Montreal Canadiens, is that they're riding a hot goalie. Like he 2 Game 7s, again, you're losing games, but I'll tell you right now that kid is something else. He if not the main reason, I think he's the main reason. 100% he's the main reason that they are going to the conference finals. He is. It just seems like it bounces back every single loss. He doesn't lose 2 in a row. It's pretty impressive to see a rookie like that. Now, he's never been there before, so maybe, again, the Montreal the rookie goalies, how they don't feel any pressure. It's just I don't know what's going on with them. But Game 7, Montreal's a weird team to watch. It seems like they're not doing anything. They're biding time, and then once a goalie makes a big save, it's like the bench just goes, okay, now it's our time. We got the save, and again, they were up 2-0. I talked about this all the time with you, Craig, I don't understand how teams blow 2 and 3 goal leads in the playoffs. I just don't get it. Now, every coach I've ever played with always says you can't change your game if you're up or down or whatever. You got to play the same game. But I'm starting to think that pushing forward and trying to get another goal and another goal and another goal and taking chances just seems not to be the way to go. Up 2-0, Game 7, and Buffalo comes back and ties it 2-2 and goes to overtime. The goalie played unbelievable, Dobish, and Buffalo was tilting the ice. Maybe they were trying to play a little bit more defensive, but it just seems like the team that's leading is just not confident enough to hold leads. It's crazy. When we get into the Minnesota-Colorado game, I'll go in depth more on that. But definitely Montreal is hanging by a thread. I seriously thought Montreal was going to lose the game in the third period. Anyway, going into the overtime, I think Montreal was going to win because they held on. They really held on, and the goalie kept him in it, Dobis, and I told Lara, I think Montreal's got this. And then, again, Newhook is just a great story. He has really shown me something. And again, going with Colorado, playing third, fourth line in Colorado, they have a lot of weapons, so they got to get rid of him, give him a chance in Montreal, and he's definitely showed that he can score and be effective in the NHL. He did it. He had a great season this year, and now his playoffs he's gonna skyrocket his stock because he is showing that he's a big game player. So I was really happy to see that. But going forward, Buffalo definitely needs, the experience. Again, I think they'll be good again next year. I don't know if they're going to go on the run they did this year. I really don't, but they're going in the right direction. They're doing things well. They got new management, all of that, new GM, new whatever going forward. I think that team is confident now in possibly doing some damage next year. A couple things here and there. So on that side, but again, we'll talk about Montreal, Carolina here right away. Montreal it really showed me something. So I was really happy to see them. Last Canadian team, obviously, you want them to win as well. But again, Buffalo, the old Buffalo would have folded after game 5 or game 6. They probably would have folded the old Buffalo. And the new Buffalo, they had some fight back, and I was really happy to see that. So again, Montreal riding a hot goalie right now. They get to the conference finals, and we'll see what happens when they run into a buzzsaw called Carolina Hurricanes.
I'm glad you mentioned the fight back in Buffalo there. Just when I look at the last 2 games, they were 3-1 down after 10-14 in the first period on Saturday, then scored 7 goals without reply to win that game 8-3. And then last night, the Canadians were 2-0 up. They got it back to 2-2, as you touched upon. Rasmus Dahlin got the equalising goal, which made it 3-7 for him in his last 5 games in this series. That's an incredible record for a defenseman. And of course, the Canadians took it in overtime.
A 5-point game. Yeah. That 5-point game against on game 6 too. He was really wow.
You're reading my notes. That's what I've got here.
I saw that. It's hard to miss when you're on the ice every goal, right? So yeah, definitely.
And of course, you talked up Alex Newhook the other day as well when we last spoke together. That's 6-1 in the series, and of course, he comes up with a big overtime winner. And you talk about players that are on a hot streak; they're going to need him going into game 1 against the Carolina on Thursday.
100%. Like, remember we were talking about Logan Stankoven, having a decent season, in Carolina, playing third line, up and down, blah, blah, blah. And look what he did. It was what he's doing in the playoffs with Taylor Hall and I forget who the other line mate is, but that's playoffs. There's always a guy that, as a coach, you see he gets a goal. One of the first in Tampa gets a goal out of the 4th line. Gallagher gets in there, and he's playing with Gallagher on the 4th line. Newhook gets another goal. Then he's playing well. He's getting assists. He's getting pluses. He's doing things. He's creating chances. And Martin St. Louis is no idiot. You got in the playoffs. You got to ride the guys that are hot. You have to, because the puck's finding them. It's a weird game, hockey. You think that the skilled guys are always going to be the guys, and Newhook's skilled. Believe me, the guy had 100 points in junior, had 100 point, or was the top scorer in college. He was a first rounder. People saw good things, especially his offense. So Montreal is diving into that skill level and getting the best out of him. And again, a guy like Martin St. Louis trusts you. He was a skill guy. He probably sees the things that I see in Newhook, and then you ride him. You have to ride him. It's playoff hockey. You need to find edges, and he's finding an edge right now with Newhook, and it's nice to see a guy in Colorado, lower on the depth chart, not because of his skill. It's because the guys they have ahead of him are just, a little bit older. Again, McKinnon, those guys. It's just one of those things that he was just the odd man out in. Montreal is definitely happy about, getting him for definitely for not much either. Now his stock's risen, and he's going to be a mainstay in Montreal. I hope, because if they don't ride this guy, I think his ceiling is very high. I think I just liked him in junior in the BCHL. I just loved his game. College again, he was doing it at a young age. So again, St. Louis sees the same things I do. So watch to see, because I think he's going to get even better. So, and they're going to definitely need him against Carolina.
So let's touch on Buffalo then. They've gone out at the second round. They got through that 6-game series against Boston in round 1. They've gone the distance with Montreal Canadiens in 7. First time in 14 years. You can't argue with the fantastic record they've had all through the season. What's the biggest thing do you think they'll take from this playoff run, this playoff experience from that team?
I think watching them, they needed a kick in the pants. When people say, it always seemed like they needed Montreal to do something before they'd have any pushback. It really always was they were down, and then they probably talked on the bench in the room, and the coaches had to get them fired up. They really, to me, they scored a couple goals in the first minute, but after that, it was like, you want to build on your momentum. You want to start games out hard, and it just seemed like Buffalo's behind the 8 ball way too much against Montreal. And when you're going against a hot goalie, you need to be all over him. You have a lot of zone time. You got to get shots. But another thing is, they never got in front of Dobas as much as I thought that they would. Like a hot goalie, you have to be in front all the time. And Benson was the only guy that was really in there. Like Tage Thompson, I know he's a skilled guy, but he's 6'6". You need Tuck. I don't think they played the fourth line as much as they should have. Greenway, those guys like that. They're beasts. They're huge guys, and nobody wants to play against them. A goalie doesn't want them in front of them. The D don't want the puck to be dumped in when you got Greenway coming down on you. So I think coaching, they got to know what they have. And again, Lindy Ruff coached for years. I'm not doing anything against him or saying anything against him, but it just seemed like they were out-coached a little bit at times. And again, it just seems like they were pushing back. They never gave the first punch. And in playoffs, the team that scores the first goal is usually the team that wins. It's crazy, the stats about that. So especially if you're up 2-0. Buffalo fought back gallantly and got back into overtime. But again, when you're wasting energy trying to catch up, it really does put a strain on you. You're always like, oh, we need one. Whereas Montreal is like, oh, we got a lead. We can play a little freer. We're not having to chase as much, this and that. So I just think Buffalo, it needs that mentality, and they've been behind in like last 14 years. That's their mentality. They get down, oh fuck, we're done. So I think Buffalo has definitely a ceiling that they can climb higher, but again, they need to start thinking like they're winners, not it's Buffalo, oh, we're down, oh, it's over. So kudos to them fighting back in Game 6 and fighting back to overtime, but you can't play from behind it in every game and expect to come back and win. It's just too hard.
So, Canadians now move on to the Eastern Conference Final, where they'll take on Carolina Hurricanes. Now, this is the interesting bit for me. The Canes, of course, we know have swept through their first 2 rounds. They beat Philadelphia 4-0 after beating Ottawa Senators 4-0 in the first round. They haven't played since Saturday, the 9th of May. So, as we record, that's 10 days. By the time they hit the ice against Canadians, Game 1 is on Thursday. That's Friday very early in the morning here in the UK. So, straight away, the Canes have had a good bit of rest in between. Canadians straight into another series after 2 Game 7 series as well. Physically, I mean, that's going to make quite the difference, isn't it?
Yes. So, like you say, and a lot of people say, oh, we haven't played a real game in 10 days and this and that. But you ask any single player, any hockey player, if they'd rather 10 days or go from Game 7 and have 2 days rest. I know that Montreal will say, oh, we like that. Blah, blah, blah. You always have to, it's gamesmanship. But you ask anybody behind the scenes, if they want 10 days off, probably some of them went to Mexico for a few days or went home, whatever, relaxed, got hockey right out of the brain, come back refreshed, and I guarantee they're ready to go. The world we live in now is the focus. Once you get back, they're ready to go. I guarantee that. Now, if Montreal wins Game 1, great, whatever. I'm not predicting a winner or a loser, but I take 10 days off 100% every time, a million out of a million, because they're healthier now. They're rested. They maybe went home and some of the guys probably went golfing or whatever. Carolina's beautiful. Probably got away from the rink for a few days, got back in it, and I guarantee they're ready to go. So if Montreal thinks that the time off is going to help them, I don't see it. They got to say that. I guarantee press conferences today, they will be asked, well, Carolina's been off. What do you think? I 100% the media is going to ask that, rightfully so. But Carolina, man, they just seem really focused. Both Game 1s, they were just way better. They were ready to go. And you asked the guys. There was a guy that was being interviewed on one of the shows or whatever, and he was asked about playing in Carolina, and nobody likes playing in Carolina. It is a hard place to play. You know that Carolina is a good team. They're going to grind you down. They're not going to make many mistakes, if any, that are detrimental, and they're going to put the puck behind you. They're going to grind you. Their defense are in your face. They got a great D zone. They're well coached. They have 200-foot players. So Montreal is going to have a tough time. Like I said before, I think Carolina's going to the finals. Montreal's a shocker for me. I didn't know if they get through, but I can't see Carolina sweeping. I just can't. It's just unfathomable to win 12 in a row. I don't think it's ever happened. If it has, it's maybe once or twice. That's a stat I'll have to take a look at, or you as well, Craig, is if they won 12 in a row. So again, I think Carolina needs to be against them, Montreal, and lose a game here. I just think going 12-0 and getting to the final against Colorado, and I'm getting way ahead of myself. I just think they need to feel a loss. And again, you ask them, they'll want to sweep. Of course they will. But I just think they need to feel a little bit behind the eight ball because they're riding high right now. And I predict they'll win in 5 or 6. 6, I'm thinking, but 5, I don't know. They could. But Montreal, if the goalie keeps playing the way he's playing, they'll be in every single game. It's just, I just don't know if they have enough. They can't defend as well as Carolina, and Carolina's relentless. They're wave after wave after wave, and their 200-foot game is better than Montreal's. So, barring the hugest upset, I think in a long time, I think Carolina takes the series. But again, that's why we play hockey.
Well, that's the point I was making. The fact that Canadians come into this series beat up, they'll have very little rest before they get straight into this series. But I've got a stat in front of me. They played each other 3 times in the regular season. Canadians won all 3. Now, does that have a bearing on this series?
Definitely. Definitely Montreal knows that they can beat them. But on the other hand, they think this is the playoffs. It's different. It's a different game. You ask every single guy that played NHL or played playoffs at a pro level, it's a different game than regular season. It is. It's just harder, way harder. Your mistakes get extrapolated to be way bigger mistakes than you think, right? You dump a puck in where the goalie gets it and they're out of the zone, whereas you don't dump it in and the goalie doesn't get it. It's little things like that. Dumps are a huge thing. I could go into that with goalies. The way they play the puck is like a third defenseman back there. So little things like that make a huge difference. And their guys are back checking hard. This is what we all played for. Like, we want to win championships. That's the only thing. I loved playoffs. I just love that. And it shows who's a regular season player and who brings their level up. And that's the thing is every player in sports wants to be the best at their sport. And the playoffs is the only way to do it. McDavid, just the same. He's so upset about losing out. I guarantee it that he's a battler. He wants to win. Not just him, but you get one chance a year. That's it. And then you got to fucking stew over the summer and think about it. So it is what we all play for, what we all played for. The older guys, the young guys, you get maybe 1 or 2 chances to win Stanley Cup. So it is hard, very, very hard. And again, I hope the series, goes to 7. I love game 7s, but Carolina I think the only thing is like we said, they're unproven. They have not made it to the Stanley Cup Finals in years when they beat Montreal, or the last Cup Final when they beat Edmonton, right, in the finals. Mm-hmm. So again, I think they're primed and ready. But on the other hand, is we haven't seen any negativity from that team. We haven't seen them lose a game. We haven't seen them having to really battle back. And again, they've won some games in OT, but it never really was in doubt for me. So if Montreal can put that doubt in the back of their minds, they're going to have a chance. If not, if Carolina just stays their course, I think it's going to be Carolina coming out of the East.
Okay, on to the West now, and we've known about who's going to be involved in the West final the last few days. Colorado Avalanche took care of Minnesota Wild in Game 5, winning by 4-3 in overtime to take that series. That was Wednesday. That just shows you how long since it was since we got together for a chat. And the Vegas Golden Knights dispatched the Anaheim Ducks in 6 games as well. They won that series by 4-2. We'll get to the Ducks in a minute, Jade. I want to talk about the media thing involving Vegas as well. I want to get your take on that. But let's go back to Wild and Avalanche. I've predicted Avalanche from the start. Every time I've seen them, they've convinced me every single time. I think they're a Stanley Cup team in the making. But when Minnesota Wild did win Game 3, they went 3-0 up in this game. Nick Foligno getting 2 goals. You thought, oh wow, they could do something here. How heartbreaking for the Wild to lose that game just when they thought they were getting a leg on there. Definitely.
And like I said before, the blown leads in the playoffs it's been like an epidemic for me. I just never, a team that's up 3-0 with half a game to play, seems to me to be an insurmountable lead. That just seems to me. Now, not taking anything away from Colorado, but if I'm Minnesota and I'm up 3-0, I change my game plan. I go to a defensive style. I'm dumping pucks in. I am cycling. I'm not bringing the puck to the front of the net from the point unless I guarantee that shot's getting through. I am playing to win the game. Obviously, everybody's playing to win the game, but what I mean is I'm playing to grind the time down. Now, a 3-1 win is a win. A 3-0 win is a win. You don't need any more goals when you're up 3-0. You don't. You have to stop them. And I just thought Minnesota took way too many chances and let Colorado scoring after the second period. At the end of the period, I looked at my wife again. I always tell her, I'm like, I told her if Colorado scores a goal at the end of this period, they're going to win the game. Minnesota just was getting lucky, and Colorado was right on that cusp of scoring. Once they scored, I didn't even watch the rest. I watched the rest of the game the next day. But I went to bed. It was pretty late, so I went to bed. I told Lara, watch Montreal or Colorado win the game. Woke up 4-3 in overtime. And I'm not saying I know what's going to happen. It's you're down 3-1. You're up 3-0. You give a goal in the last minute of going into the third period, and now it's a 2-goal lead. Whereas if Colorado gets the next goal, it's 3-2, and you are holding your stick as tight as, again, you're white-knuckling your stick, and that's when Colorado has a big smile on their face saying, we got you. And you can't do that to Colorado. You have to shut them down. You have to grind them down in their D zone with cycles. You don't need to be dangling. You don't need to be turning pucks over in the middle of the ice because they're waiting for that to happen. And again, Minnesota is so skilled that they'll get away with that every once in a while because they have skilled guys. They'll make the pass through guys. But if you don't, and they start to tilt the ice the other way, you're gonna get stomped. And it did not surprise me at all. Now, I was kind of mad that I wanted Minnesota to win that game because I wanted it to keep going. And when I saw the way they were playing, same way. Every coach that I've ever played with always says we can't change our game plan. Well, I disagree with that because a 3-goal lead, if you blow that, that's the coach's fault 100%. You blow a 2-goal lead, okay, a guy makes a bad pass, turns it over, that stuff happens. But a 3-goal lead with like 22 minutes left in the game, I think that's on the coaching staff I just can't see it being the team's fault when you got to put a system in play to shut Colorado down when you're up 3-0. Now again, I could be wrong. Again, it's my opinion, but 3-0 lead should be insurmountable with 22 minutes left, especially in the playoffs. The guys are all good enough to dump pucks in, to protect the puck, to cycle, to grind time down. And that is something I just didn't see. It was free flowing as usual. That's the NHL nowadays. But I'll tell you right now, if they could do it over again, I guarantee that the puck would have been dumped in. They would have been cycling it. It would have been puck possession. They would have been trying different passes through the middle of the ice. They would have been keeping it on the walls. They would have grinded it down. And they would have won. I think hindsight's 2020. So again, we were never going to get to know. But I think Minnesota really dropped the ball on that because if they win that, it's 3-2. You never know, right? You never know. So again, I put it to the coaching staff on that to blow a 3-0 lead, but not taking anything away from Colorado. They are ready to rock. Like I think Vegas is going to have a really tough time.
Before we get to Vegas and look at their series, one thing that's got me about Avalanche, and I think it's the spread of scoring they've got throughout their team. Kulak, who got the overtime winner, Brett Kulak, he was the 16th Avalanche player with a goal during the second round, tied for the most in a single series with the 2025 Blues. Good for them. And where's this other one? The Avalanche became the 7th team in NHL Stanley Cup playoff history to have 17 different players score a goal through the team's first 9 games. So they've got depth everywhere, and that's going to be huge, especially coming into the final as well.
I agree, and I did not know that stat, but I saw Kulak scored. He does again. Not taking anything away from him, but he's just not an offensive guy. Like, he's not there to score goals. That's for sure. So when Colorado gets goals from those kind of guys, look out, because that's crazy. You shut down McKinnon and then you have 16 other guys. You shut down McCarr and you have 15 other guys. You shut down, Landeskog and you have 13 other guys scoring. Like, that's insane. Like that is what you want as a coach is in the playoffs. You know your stars are going to score. You know they're going to be there if you're winning games, but what you don't expect is your third, fourth lines, your fifth, sixth, seventh defenseman getting points and contributing. And when you have that, it's hard. It's very hard to beat you. So Colorado, again, we said Colorado and Carolina. I think just saying that, I think that's going to be the finals. But again, why do we play hockey? We play hockey because you never know what's going to happen. Any team can beat any team on a given night. Just Vegas has to have more nights than Colorado. Hey, they won a Stanley Cup as well, so they could do it. I'm not saying Colorado is unbeatable, but I'm just saying if you look at it top to bottom, what's going on, the way both of them are playing, I just think Colorado has an edge right there. Both goalies for Colorado too are playing games, so the goaltending really isn't something that Colorado really. It's not a negative. It's Hart, right? Hart's there, yeah. So he again is unproven. So he's been a good goalie, but on the other hand, is you're playing against Colorado Avalanche, so it's going to be tough for him if he comes and plays the ways he's been playing. They might have a chance, but again, I just think Colorado is just primed and ready, like you said.
Let's go quickly into the Western Conference then. It was we're still in the Western Conference. Vegas against Anaheim Ducks, 4-2. They won in the end. I know you fancied the Ducks. You like the look of the Ducks. But the Golden Knights, I think maybe their recent experience of Stanley Cup playoffs has maybe won them through that. They won 3-2 in overtime in Game 5 last Tuesday. That was after we recorded our last show, and then got the job done with a 5-1 victory on Thursday in Game 6 to clinch the second round. Bit of controversy after the game. John Tortorella didn't speak with the media. There was no media access to the locker room as well. Tortorella has since been fined $100,000, and their second round draft pick has been forfeited. Now, no official explanation has been given by the club as to why they did this, but Elliot Friedman, who reports for Sportsnet, claimed it was frustration over the suspension given to Braden McNabb on the interference call on Ryan Poehling, who went off injured in Game 5. That's just what Elliot's reporting. As I say, the club haven't reported anything. What did you make of that? I always think when a coach or a team decide not to speak to the media, I just think that can harm them. It doesn't come across well. I can say that as someone who's fallen foul of a few coaches in my time covering whether it's ice hockey or soccer, but I just think it's never a good look.
No, but you got to understand Tortorella. Like when you see Tortorella out there, he's a smart guy, but it's a lot of gamesmanship. He is there to take the pressure, to take the media off of the players, right? The players have to play. He can do this and not worry about it. He doesn't have to play. He has to coach, and I'm not saying coaching's easier. It's definitely not. But on the other hand, is he's there to deflect all the negativity. Now, what happened in the game and the interference and all that stuff, he's showing the league that, hey, that wasn't the right call, he thinks. And again, I guarantee when he didn't talk, the organization supported him, the players supported him, because again, they're a team and they want no distractions. The players definitely, have to follow what the coach is going to do. Now, he didn't just do that to do that. He talked, I guarantee he talked with management, talked with that about what they did, 100%. It wasn't just him doing it off the cuff. He's not that stupid. And that's something that teams build off of, right? They just win a game to win, to go up 3-2 in the series, right? They want not only to let the league know about what happened. This is my opinion, is look what happened in Game 5. They smoke him 5-1. Now, everybody says, well, $100,000, he gets fined, guarantee he's not paying that. The team is, owners, 100%. He did that for gamesmanship to show the league that, hey, that call was wrong. You guys made a mistake. Now I'm going to do this. And again, everybody's probably like, oh, the media is probably like, oh, it's a mistake. What happened? They're in the Stanley Cup, or they're in the conference finals right now. He's not an idiot. He does a lot of that stuff because it's taken away from the scrutiny on the team. It's taken away from, the pressure, the media going, because I guarantee the media is going to be chatting with him for the conference finals, and they're going to be talking to him. The players are going to kind of be a little bit off to the side, which I never minded talking to the media, but it does get distracting sometimes when negative stuff comes up. anybody can do interviews when things are going good. Anybody, like again, and with the guys nowadays, the cliches they use, they don't really give you anything, and you probably know that as a reporter for newspapers. There's not a lot of guys give you anything because again, it can be used in negative ways sometimes. So they're trained. They go through media training 100%. They don't give the media pretty much anything. A lot of one-word answers. So again, he did that for a reason to take onus off all of that to show the league. I think to show the league, hey, you made a mistake. Okay, I'm doing this. Do whatever. Find me if you want. You guys did that. We're doing this. And look what happened. When he did that, I thought for sure it was what I was saying. Again, I could be wrong. It's my opinion, but it worked out, and I figured it would work out when they won that, and he did that. I was at first like, well, why is he doing that? You know, that series isn't won, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, but then I thought, you know what? I bet you he's doing that because the players were getting rattled. Guys, I guarantee McNabb was up in arms, management, leadership, all of that. And I guarantee if he didn't do that, players on Vegas would have said something that they would have regretted in the media. They would have said, well, that was a terrible call by the refs. And then now it's not about the hockey, it's about the reffing and all that stuff. And then your mind goes somewhere else. What he did is he kept all of his guys focused. He said no media, and no guys had to talk negative, no guys had to talk about anything. And I think that was the right move.
So on to matters on the ice, and the Knights, as I said, taking care of the Ducks by 4-2 in the end. Vegas, they're just going really well. You know, never mind the controversy off the ice as we've just discussed, but on the ice, they got the job done.
Ducks, I really kind of wanted the Ducks to keep going. I just love the way, you know, they play. They're really well coached. They have a young team. It's you know, you like those stories, especially probably, you know, media guys as well, right? So I was a little wishful thinking. Vegas just had too much experience. Their top guys came to play every single game. I call it, man, the guy, I really like his two-way game has really come a long way. Before, you know, you just see him as a scorer and a point guy and all that stuff. But man, did he showed me a lot these first two rounds in how well he can play 200 feet, like back checking, back pressure, D zone, takeaways, you know, just the pressure he puts on the offensive team is, it's really, really nice to watch. All offense, and most of those guys, you know, the scores, you know, 100-point guys and stuff. Eichel definitely could be one of them. And to win Stanley Cups, you have to change your game to play 200 feet. You have to do that. You can't just do what you normally do. It's a different game. You have to be a player that can play both sides of both offense and defense. And he really is coming a long way on that. He could be a Selke winner. I could see that, you know, moving forward. It's you see new things in the playoffs that you don't see in the regular season. I watch lots of Vegas games because Calgary played them quite a few times. So I always watch Eichel. It always seems like he's never trying out there. The way he skates is just, it's so fluid. But
like a young Jade Galbraith, I would say.
Yeah, right. I couldn't get up and down the ice to save my life. I was probably the worst in shape guy in the history of friggin' hockey. So again, it was always I wasted my energy in the offensive zone. I wasn't a 200-foot player, but again, he makes it look easy, but he has really shown me something in his 200-foot game, and that's a huge reason why they. Not saying that nobody else does what he did. All I'm saying is for a star to be able to change up, not always scoring. And Marner's on fire as well. Like he's playing out of his mind. So when that's happening, he doesn't have to be the guy that puts up all the points, and he can focus on helping the team in other ways. So I think they're going to do, if they are to beat Colorado, Marner's got to keep doing what he's doing, and Eichel's got to be able to shut down those big name guys like McKinnon, Carr, Landeskog, all those guys. So again, it's going to be tough for Vegas to climb Colorado's mountain, but no pun intended. But if any team can do it, they're certainly ones that have the experience and the players and the personnel to be able to take them to the brink and possibly to the Cup Finals. So.
Well, looking at the regular season record between the two teams, Avalanche won 2 and Vegas won the other one in overtime when they met on the 12th of April, right at the end of the regular season there. So it's going to be a very interesting series, that one. We've watched with great fascination how these teams have negotiated what were tricky first 2 round games. So anything could happen in this Western Conference final. And I, for one, I'm looking forward to it. So game 1 of that is on Wednesday. We look forward to that one. How do you see that, though? It's 2 teams where both sets of players, big players in particular, have performed in the big moments as well. And when you bring that together, that is going to be one hell of a clash between those 2 teams.
Definitely. As a star player or whatever, this is where you're going to shine, right? And again, you don't have to shine in scoring goals. You can shine in shutting down the other team's best players. You can shine in so many different ways that everybody looks at statistics and points and all that stuff. And the guys that do the dirty work, the guys that are dumping the puck in and wearing out the other team's defense, that's a huge job to do, and it's hard to do. There's so many little things that happen in a hockey game that if you do it better than the other team, it helps you win. It's not just about goals. How do you get the goals? You know what I mean? Like the power plays, penalty kills. Yeah, you got to work hard to draw penalties. You got to be smart to not take penalties. So there's definitely a skill to all of that stuff. So like I said, dumping the puck in is a skill. Putting it on the far side, you never want to put it on the bench side or you want to put it on the bench side, you don't want to put it on the far side because they can do quick ups. Again, there's little things to everything to making the other team have to work harder, right? Everybody says hockey's a game of mistakes. It's the team that makes the least amount of mistakes that usually comes out with wins. So again, there's big mistakes and then there's little ones that make the other team be able to break out easier passes. They don't have to pass through guys. So again, hockey is I love it how fast it is because you make so many mistakes every shift, whereas one stick in a lane this way, one stick out of a lane that way, and it's not 3-2 for one team, it's 3-2 for the other team. So I love it. It's a lot of errors, and it's a team that can make the least amount of errors, and it's a coaching staff that can change up their game plan to combat that. I always say the best coaches in the world are in-game coaches. Everybody knows X's and O's. Every single person does. It's about looking at the other team and saying, our game plan isn't working against them. We have to change up and try something new. You ask some people, well, if you're a good enough coach, your team's going to be, playing the game plan. The other team has to switch up. No, it doesn't work that way. You're never always winning. You're never always the better team. There's pushback. There's this, there's that. There's so many great athletes on each team. So I think the best coaches can change up. Bill Belichick said it the best. Any team can ride their system and their game plan to a Super Bowl. It's the coaches, the best coaches in the world, that can change up the game plan that they've been using forever because it's not working. How hard is that? It's so hard to do that because you're giving up on what you thought was going to win and you'd had to change up. And that's what I love about coaches is the ones that can do that are the best coaches in the world. You have to in-game adapt. If you don't, it doesn't matter how good your team is. You're going to eventually lose a 7-game series. So they all have unbelievable coaches, every one of them. They've proven it through the regular season. Martin St. Louis hasn't been coaching very, very long, but he's played. He's a smart guy. He's won Stanley Cups. But again, he is there because he can coach. You're not making it there just with players. You need a full management down, ownership down. So again, I'm really excited to see these 2 series.
Let's have a little fun. You did it for the East, but we'll just recap it. What's your prediction then for the final, the conference finals? How do you see them going, and who will be the 2 teams in the Stanley Cup final in your view?
Well, I just think Carolina 100% will beat Montreal. They're just doing everything right. It's so hard to score against Carolina. It's so hard, and I think Montreal is going to have a tougher time. So I think Carolina wins the series. Now I hope Montreal gets a few games, but I don't see it.
Right. So your prediction: Canes in how many games? How many games are going to do it in?
6, because I think Montreal is riding a hot goalie, and a goalie wins a game here, a game there, and I just think Montreal they feed off that. Right, they'll get up to a lead, and the goalie will play unbelievable. So again, I think Montreal, Carolina in 6. I'm thinking.
I'm going to say Canes in 5. And the reason I say that is because I think the run of games that Canadians have had, I think the fatigue is going to be a factor. Canadians, as we've already mentioned, have had that long break in between rounds, whereas the Canes are going straight from one series straight into another, and I think that's going to be a factor. So Canes in 5. Okay, what about the West then? How do you see that one, and what's your prediction for that?
I think it'll be a little bit closer just because the way Vegas has shown the last 2 games, they really look again, the overtime game. Again, I thought that Vegas was better, but the 5-1 game, to stomp them like that, and the Ducks had not a chance. And for them to not have a sniff, I think that is a huge game for Vegas going into the Avs series. Because they're going to have to do the same thing that Montreal has to do to Carolina to win. Is they got to pitch pretty much a no-hitter. They top to bottom, they have to. Colorado's going to score goals, so Vegas has to score goals. Now, to score goals, you have to take away your defense a little bit here and there. You have to cheat. You have to try. Again, if you're down, you have to make some adjustments, and you have to try to push a little bit, and that wastes energy. And that, again, Colorado got a little bit more rest. I don't think that's going to be 5 and 6 games. I don't think that's going to be a really defining factor. But I think Vegas has a little bit more than Montreal against Carolina. So I'm thinking Avs in 6 as well. But I could be 7. But I'm going to predict Avs in 6. So.
Yep, that's what I've got. Avs in 6 as well. I think it's going to be quite the battle, but I think the Avs will get the job done over the Vegas Golden Knights. Okay, that's the latest across the action in the NHL playoffs right now. We'll just cover some news stories that's happened over the last few days as well. We've even got some breaking news. Let's do that first then. It was all changed in Vancouver the other day. They announced that Daniel and Henrik Sedin would be coming in as new co-presidents, 2 legends of the Canucks, of course. Ryan Johnson would be coming in as the general manager. He's been the assistant general manager for the last 2 seasons, while also being the GM at Abbotsford Canucks as well. He's also been a director for player development at the Canucks, and now he gets the top job, replacing Patrick Alvin in the role. And we hear tonight, just as we're recording, that Adam Foote has been relieved of his duties. His record of 25, 49 and 8 has seen him ousted after only a year in charge as the head coach, and 3 years prior to that as the assistant coach for the Canucks. We knew change was coming. Jade, Vancouver was they had such a terrible season. I don't imagine you're surprised by that, but Adam Foote, is after only a year, was it inevitable for him?
Yeah, he got the shaft hard there. Again, it's so tough. I always say Drew Bannister, a buddy of mine, coach St. Louis, signed a new deal, and then another coach comes on the market, and he kind of gets pulled out. So it is a cutthroat. NHL coaches, it's cutthroat. It is very, you have one chance, and if you don't do something with the one chance, they're going to bring somebody else in who has a better pedigree, not necessarily a better coach, just has more experience, has been to, done things that your organization wants to achieve, right? So again, I wasn't surprised that Foote got ousted, especially when there's a new GM. Even if he's an assistant GM, he's now the new guy. Mm-hmm. So he probably has a couple guys of ideas, that a couple guys out there that maybe could be better. Now, again, with any coach, Adam Foote played tons of games in the NHL. Loved him as a player, absolutely loved him. Again, 1 year. If you don't do something in your last place, and it wasn't really a rebuild year for them, they had Hughes, they had Pettersson, all of that. I know Pettersson and the TJ Miller, turmoil or whatever, being babies about it. Again, that didn't help the situation at all either. But again, new president, new GM, they have to bring their guys in, just like Toronto. I had a feeling Berube would have been gassed because, again, you have new guys. It's your butt on the line now. And if you don't think that guy can get it done, you're going to make moves. And it's the way the NHL is with coaches. It's unless you've won Stanley Cups and you have coached in the league 10 years, you're going to have one chance, one opportunity. And I know Foote will get another opportunity at some point, but Vancouver is a winning city. They don't like to lose. Their fans hate losing. So for them to be last place, now they get a good draft, whatever, but they think that they can, make the playoffs and do some things now. And that's the thing is you get one opportunity, and realistically, it wasn't Foote's fault with all the nonsense that was going on there. I just think if I'm Foote, I hate that situation. I would like one more chance to show what I can actually do. You're older, you're wiser, but he knows as well as any other coach and professional that if you don't get it done right away, it's win now. It's not junior where you can to develop your guys. It's not a development league. It is a win first league. So I wasn't surprised that happened. But again, new GM, new presidents, or the Sedins, they probably want fresh meat in there. They want guys that they like, that they think can get you to the next level. Because again, with one season, with his record, like it's really hard to be confident in a coach. And even if they were confident, they can't do it because it's their ass on the line now. So sucks for him. But again, I just with all the coaches that got fired and the ones that are available, Vancouver's probably is thinking there's too much talent as coaching staffs out, or as coaches go out there to keep Foote on for another year. And it's sad to say, but it's the world we live in now. It's win first, and if you don't, you're gone.
Well, that's it. It seems to be a bit of a what we call in soccer terms a managerial merry-go-round, as it were. As new coaches are being fired, moved on, new guys are coming in. The other one, in fact, another two that get moved on last week. Craig Berube, Toronto Maple Leafs. We knew that was coming. I actually put the clip back out on social media through the week there, talking about their changes in the front office, and Berube would be a casualty of that. You said that very thing, and that's what's was proved to be. Edmonton have moved on Chris Knobloch as well. Disappointing year for them. For all they did reach the playoffs, they didn't go as far this year. Only getting to the first round compared to the final in the last 2 years, where they lost on both occasions to the Florida Panthers. Bruce Cassidy's been linked with Edmonton. Bruce Cassidy, I've also seen, just I had a quick look in social media while you were talking there, early link with Vancouver as well now that job's vacant. Berube linked with Edmonton possibly, but I think there's a few fans a bit resistant to that one. But back to Knobloch going. His assistant Mark Stewart was also fired. The GM Stan Bowman said the team had fallen short of what obviously expectations they had for this year, and of course naturally there's speculation over the futures of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl among a few others, I'm sure. McDavid said himself Oilers were an average team with high expectations. That was a direct quote from him after the playoffs. So it's quite a big summer ahead for the Oilers.
Well, like I told you before, again, I don't know if we talked before. I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, but Edmonton is a shiny turd. I say that. They have David and Draisaitl, and Bouchard had a great year, but again, he's total offense. The GM, and not even the Knobloch did what he could with what he had. Knobloch, again, I don't see him as a head coach. No offense to him. I just don't see him as the guy. All the things that happen and whatnot, he got out coached all the time. I just think he was trying to please his players more than anything, and it wasn't tough love. I take it down to the coaching and the GM. Stan Bowman has two players that can get you to the Stanley Cup Finals with nothing else there, but they continue to play all offense. They don't have defensive players, and you can crucify me saying, oh, this guy's a defensive player, this guy's a defensive player. They do not have a defensive bone in their body, and to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you need to play defense. You need to put some shackles on McDavid and Draisaitl every once in a while and say, hey, we're up 2 goals. We got to play some defense, and a coach has to be the man, and he wasn't the man. McDavid, again, whether he is behind the scenes coaching the team or doing whatever he wants, is in Edmonton, it's not working. Things aren't working. Everybody loves to say how good they are, and whatever best power play ever to play, that's awesome. 0 Stanley Cups with McDavid. I don't care if they went to the Stanley Cup Finals every single year. They didn't win. And that's the thing. You don't get a prize for second place. Bowman's got to find defensive players, because with McDavid and Draisaitl, they're going to score at least 3 points a game. They're going to have 3 goals with those 2 players. Now, if all the other players are even every single game, they win. That's it. They win. They win Stanley Cups. Goalie, I always say about the goalie, oh, it's the goalie's fault. It's the goalie's fault. Imagine playing in front of Darnell Nurse and Bouchard. Are you kidding me? Those two guys should never take a defensive zone face-off all year long, especially in the playoffs. Get guys that are defense first guys that have sticks and lanes, that battle hard, and that, play the right way in the D zone. And then Bouchard, every offensive zone draw. Every single offensive zone draw, I wouldn't care. But that's the thing is you can't take away ice time. You can't make it look like a player can't play defense, because again, it's with the ego of everybody. If I was an offensive defenseman and I know that I'm not a good defensive player, I don't care if the coach takes me off of draws. I don't care if I'm not playing in the defensive situations. I don't care if we're up 2 goals and I'm not playing this shift. I don't care. I want to win. And that's the thing, is there's so many guys with egos, and you have to navigate that. Like the NHL is something else, I bet, with that. You get an agent calling you, GM, hey, why did my guy play an extra minute? Blah, blah, blah. Why is he playing in this situation? I guarantee that happens 100%. The agent's doing his job, but the stuff you have to deal with. When the playoffs come, I say, if you're an agent, don't ever call me. Don't talk to me till next year, because the coach, it's one thing. You have to win. That's it. Now, if I have to take less minutes to win, I'm going to do that. If I want to play more minutes, I have to be better in certain situations. And that's not Edmonton. They do whatever the hell they want, and they rely on McDavid and Draisaitl to bury him out, dig him out of the hole. And 2 players, as you can tell, can't win a Stanley Cup. They can get you there, but they can't get you over the hump.
I went away and made a cup of tea and came back, and you were still talking.
Yeah. Pissed off, man. I just see such good things with them, and then I don't want to see McDavid leave Edmonton, which he will, to win. Edmonton Oilers fans think that he's not going to leave. Not a chance. If he can win a Stanley Cup, he'll go to Timbuktu to play. So the ownership and management better get together and figure out a way, because what they have now, the personnel-wise, McDavid said it best, they're an average team. They're a shiny turd, and they need to get some sandpaper guys, some defensive guys, big guys that don't care about scoring. They just care about winning. So until that happens, they're going to be the bridesmaid.
Well, let's finish on a positive note then. Matthew Schaefer, we love Matthew Schaefer. We've talked so much about him in recent shows. And, of course, the nice little moment last week, he appeared on Good Morning America to, I think, talk about the season and his career and the way it's gone so far. And it couldn't have gone any better. And what do you know? He's presented with the Calder Trophy on the sofa in the studio. That was fantastic. A unanimous decision. They released
first time
results
as ever since Teemu Selanne.
There you go.
When Solani had to score 72 goals to get that. So imagine how hard that is. But what did we say? I said, if anybody votes him second for that trophy, they should be fired. They shouldn't ever talk about hockey ever again. So when they said unanimous, I was happy to hear that, because again, no offense to the other 2, no offense. They had great seasons, but that kid is something else, man. And
really good player. And really happy for him.
I was talking to a couple of people about for a 19-year-old to be for a hospital to collaborate with a 19-year-old kid. They don't just do that because he's an NHL player. They do their due diligence. They see how mature this kid is, how unbelievable person. What he's doing on the ice is nothing compared to what he's doing off the ice. Hospital's not going to partner up with a 19-year-old kid unless they're 100% sure. And I'm 100% sure that kid is going to be an absolute beast, star for years to come. He is something special.
Absolutely. I'm going to look forward to it.
PK Subban paid all the $10 million. He's all covered up. Remember when he made that vow to give $10 million to the Montreal hospital? He just finished it. Very, very. I love PK. Again, I like outspoken guys. I like, he is a certain guy. Take him or leave him. I take some of his stuff and I leave some of his stuff. But the fact that what he did, and he was a man of his word, that to me, is something he's what you want out of a guy that, a hockey player or a man, anything. I just think that what he did there was something special. Kids and hospitals, they need all the money they can get. So when I heard that, I was really happy to hear that. So kudos to him.
Yep, good week all round for everybody, and well done to everybody who won in round 2. We'll draw a line under there, won't we, Jade? That's plenty of chat for this edition.
Absolutely.
We'll come back later in the week. We're going to look at the World Championships this week. We didn't do it in this edition; just a lot of things have happened, so we'll take a better look at that later in the week. Plus the start of the conference finals as well. Jade, you're a joy as always to hear you talk about hockey. It's a lot of fun.
Appreciate it, buddy.
And we'll be back later in the week. In the meantime, listen to us on your favourite podcast provider, Spotify, Apple Podcast. If you like Scottish ice hockey, I'm your man for that. CWA Ice Hockey. I'm on Substack, so subscribe. I'm on Twitter and what have you, X, whatever you want to call it. I'm on all that. So get involved. It'd be nice to hear from you. Right, we're away. Let's go make some tea.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks, buddy.
Catch you, Jade.
Friend. Awesome.